Kings fans, Jordan Kiss with you once again as the first week of training camp is now complete as the Kings get ready to start the preseason tomorrow. I'm now joined by the new assistant coach for the Kings, Harry Mahesh. Harry, you've been here for a little over a week now. How's the adjustment been? How are you enjoying it?
It's been great so far. I mean, I got in a week ago, and it's been an easy transition working with Brock and kind of showing me the town. And no, it's been great so far. I really enjoyed it.
And then, so obviously you're hired here and stuff. What was kind of the selling point for you that kind of made you, decide to come here to Powell River?
You know what? Just knowing me and Brock shared a lot of, former teammates that, that said we're very similar. And, I think last week he said, we had the same roommates. So just through that experience, it's always kind of good to reconnect with people you've crossed paths with. And so far, it seems like we're very similar in terms of our approach to coaching. So it's been really good.
Did you ever talk to any of those guys like, hey, is Brock actually a good person to work with and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's funny because as soon as that happened, 4 or 5 people reached out and said like, oh, you're going to love it. You guys are very similar, pretty laid back, and no, it's been good so far.
So what kind of areas for this team are you kind of going to be specialized in working with a lot of players with?
So I'll be primarily focusing on the defense and the penalty kill. So just day to day, making sure that those guys are getting their skill work in and stuff, and then some special teams work as well. I'll also be doing video with Brock, so just kind of assisting in all the extra areas. But yeah, primarily it'll be like the defense and penalty kill for the season. So
you were a forward when you played, and then you said you're coaching the defense. How much is that something you've learned a lot of over the years of knowing how to coach defensemen despite you playing a forward for all your life?
Yeah, when I first got into coaching, I really wanted to take over the D as the assistant coach just because it was something that I wasn't familiar with. So, when you're the head guy, you're responsible for both, which I got to do as well. But, as the assistant, I find, the head coach deals with, he might have 12 forwards to 6. So as an assistant, it's a little bit easier of managing the load of players. But ultimately, like Brock was a defenseman, I was a forward. Kyle was a forward. So between the 3 of us, we've kind of all covered it. But yeah, I just find when you're an assistant, just managing less personnel is a little bit easier and let the head coach kind of dictate more of the players.
And then, you had a very good junior career in Manitoba. You had a 6-year professional career. You went around a little bit. I would know for you, like, what kind of player were you out there? Were you like a feisty forward? Were you a scorer out there? What?
You know what? I try to do a little bit of everything. I know a coach once told me, he's like, you're able to do everything pretty good, but not one thing great. And that kind of stuck with me. And so, I just define myself as a utility player. I mean, when I had to go back on D, I did that. I was more of a checker. I'm not the biggest guy, but I realized that I had a knack for dropping the gloves, and, it kept me playing a little bit longer. So I kind of did everything. I wish I could have scored more, but if the puck wasn't going in the net, you got to find another way to stay on the team.
And is that kind of something that you preach to your players of do whatever it takes? Yeah,
exactly. I mean, obviously the game's changed a lot, so I mean it's still a physical game, but you have, if you're a forward, you have 12 spots making the team. There's no fourth line goal scorer. So if you're not, contributing in that aspect, you got to find another way. If you can do a little bit of everything, you increase your chances of making the team.
Okay, cool. And then you've coached, obviously, you've spent the last couple of years in the MJHL, and obviously, for players, there's always a transition of getting used to the game from a different junior A league to coming to the BCHL. Is it kind of the same thing for a coach? Of is there anything you kind of have to learn new and like transition from the MJHL to the BCHL?
In terms of the talent, it's similar in the sense of, your top players are going to be good in either league. A lot of it's just going to be adjusting to the teams and just kind of getting prepped for the pre-scouting, especially early on. The teams are going to be starting out their season, so there's not going to be a lot for me to go back on and scout for. But once I get familiar with, the competition of the league and, the players to look out for, that'll be the biggest adjustment to start.
And then when you were coaching in Manitoba, you coached with the Winnipeg Freeze, and you coached one of the new Kings, Ryder Ringer here. What could you tell us about Ryder as a player?
I really enjoyed Ryder. He was one of the younger guys on the team last year, and he handled the bulk of the responsibility. We were a new team, and he came in and he was very, he took charge of the team, and it caught me by surprise, being a rookie, being only, he was one of the few high school guys we had. But no, I'm excited to see him here. I always knew that he's going to have a great career, and to see him at this league and to kind of showcase what he can do to different eyes is going to be good for him.
And then lastly, I asked Brock this, if he remembers anything about you and your playing days playing against each other. Do you remember anything about about Brock at all from your meetings against each other?
You know what? It's funny when I played, I kind of had the blinders on. I could never tell you exactly who I was playing against, but I kind of had one job. So I'm sure. I mean, Brock was a good player, and I'm sure we crossed paths. I don't remember anything specific, but normally if the guys weren't barking at me, which he didn't really do a lot of, then I kind of left them alone.
Okay, well, Harry, thank you very much. We're very excited to have you here in Powell River and with the Kings. Looking forward to see what you and the coaching staff can do for this Kings team this season.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And of course, tomorrow, Kings open up the preseason in Chilliwack against the Chiefs. A 6 p.m. puck drop pregame show starts at 5:45 on MixLR and Hockey TV.